So last year, I'm predicting a lot of people might be watching this year, and generally there's not a ton because last year it all went down.
It's true.
Pays attention really collectively to the Oscars, but the fact that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, everyone knew about it. And so I'm predicting, and Jimmy Kimmel's hosting, so I'm wondering how he's going to handle that.
Oh, yeah.
And so there could be the potential for some humor and some awkward moments
or
for
some
sure.
drama.
I have a funny story before we go in.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mom, your wife, my mother. Sorry, Sam. Dang it. She texted me when it happened. Will Ferrell just smacked Chris Rock. Or she told me, she goes, "Did you see Will Ferrell?" And I was like, "What in the world?" I was like, "This is going to be a racial war."
I know.
And she goes, "Oh, I meant Will Smith."
Well, I was watching, and my reaction I think was kind of similar to a lot of folks. We were like, "This has to be a gag or a joke or staged," and it definitely was not. But it really ruined it for if anyone had won anything.
Yeah, overshadowed
right
so easily.
And the worst part of it was later on, Will Smith just hit someone, sat back down in the front row,
and then received
and an hour later they gave him an award, and everyone cheered, and everyone's sort of like, is this right? And the answer is no.
It was so funny because he apologized to everyone.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm so sorry," and then he just didn't apologize to Chris Rock.
No. Yeah.
He used to be so cool. I mean, Will Smith?
It ruined
he
his
was like
life.
the guy growing up, right? Almost one of the guys.
Yeah, I mean, he was like
Fresh
just so likable. Like even if you're like, I don't love all his movies, you're like, you at least liked him. And now you're
hard.
like, and you don't want to base anyone off like the worst thing. And maybe this isn't the worst thing, but certainly because it was
not as great as moment.
It just made it. There were so many other ways to handle that, and it was okay. Maybe not a joke, Chris Rock. But you're signing up for people to call you out and say things about you.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Well, he was laughing at it during it, which was funny.
I know
to me.
they did show that clip. Like he's laughing, and then he looked at his wife, and she wasn't laughing. He's like, "Uh-oh, it's worth it if I go hit this guy, and then to deal with that."
That's funny. That's funny.
All right, okay. Here's the quick Oscar education. So there's this is always like the last award show for movies. Leading, everything else basically has been done. And so, but there's all these, the Academy in and of itself is made up of about close to like 10,000 members.
Oh, wow.
And within that, there's all these different branches. I don't know if it's like 16 or 17. And a branch kind of represents like, there's the acting branch, there's the cinematography one. And then there's just some people in it that don't really they're like producers, but there's not like a producer award. So anyways, in your branch, if you're in like the acting branch, you get to pick your top 5, like who you want to see. These 5 should be nominated, and every actor does that, or whoever's in that branch submit it, and that becomes the nominations, which have been out for a while. So the nominations are out, which we see in front of us. These are the nominees, and now just this weekend they're going to open. No votes have been made yet.
Oh, okay.
So they're starting voting, I think, this weekend, and they leave it open for till I don't know how soon.
Are the members of these factions, if you will, are they like
elders?
The elders, Board of Elders,
Are they pretty much like ex-actors, or what are their credentials?
Yeah, it's I think it's like it's a mixed bag of, if you've ever been up for an Oscar in the conversation, a part of it, you're probably in the Academy. I don't know the official criteria, but I do know like there's definitely a lot less actors. They just had like the Screen Actors Guild Awards, and there's just like thousands. Every actor who basically exists or you've been in a movie could be voting if you wanted to, and that's like that number is reduced way down. So okay. I don't know what those numbers are, but
it's reduced.
No, like just in total. Okay. So anyways, but once the nominees are out, now everyone, whether you're an actor, a director, a writer, cinematographer, you get to vote on all of these now.
Okay.
So that's what they're doing. And everything basically is like, we'll just grab best actor here. And you're like, I'd vote for Austin Butler. You just check one box. But when it comes to best picture, and this is where it's a bit of a mess, they don't do it like you don't just pick one. You rank all 10. And Luke ranks all 10. Everyone who's voting ranks every best picture, and they do a preferential ballot. So that means all of these come in and they stack up how many, and they look at the first place votes for all of these. How many, and how how many first place votes did All Quiet on the Western Front get? How many first place votes did Avatar get? And they line them all the way up. And then whoever hits like 50% first, that's the winner. But that very rarely ever happens. So let's just say there was 100 votes. Okay, just for a number we can wrap our mind around. And Everything Everywhere, which is like the front runner, and pick that one, it's probably going to win. But let's say that got like 40 votes, okay? And Top Gun Maverick got like, I don't know, 20, and on down the line. Some of them might not get any first place votes. Then they kick out, let's say, like Women Talking. Okay, that's not going to win. It's just the last one there. It's not going to win Best Picture.
Which one should we? Kick out Woman. Wait, they're talking?
All right.
Kick them out.
Triangle of Sadness, Fableman's Tar, they're not going to win Best Picture. Okay, so then let's say I put Tar was my number one movie, but I got kicked out. Now they take my ballot and they take my number 2. Let's say I had Everything Everywhere at number 2. That adds a vote for Everything Everywhere. And they do the first one to get to 50, like over half.
So is it like a point system almost?
So
like
it just
number
means
1 is 10 points.
Sometimes what wins Best Picture is if, like everyone just has like whatever your favorite movie might be, that's different. But the consensus is like, well, everyone loved this movie. It's going to be like 2 or 3 on everyone's list. That could make it surge ahead and win. So anyways, it's supposed to help like, I don't know if it's definitely not a perfect system, but I didn't even learn about this till like, I was aware of it, but I was never really aware of how it worked. And then I've watched several videos going, oh, I think I get it now. So anyways, that was probably too much. We'll have to cut that down in editing.
No,
we don't
it was
cut
perfect.
anything here. Okay?
Even the women talking bit.
Yeah, that's staying in, Mom.
Women. I just glanced
Don't
down.
worry,
That was
she's
the last
about
one.
7 episodes behind, so you won't get in trouble for probably about 2 more months.
All right.
Well,
She won't even get
the
mad.
Oscars, I feel like, have been, at least from what I've seen, it's like the Oscars mean nothing. It feels like. I know that's not true. Not mean nothing, but like most, like it feels like the best movies of that year usually don't end up winning the Oscar.
So what do you mean by best? Like
Like,
the,
I feel
movie,
like
the
a lot
movies that
of-
made the most money?
Well, I feel like they have. Spielberg talks about it. So when I'm saying people, and you're eye rolling, Steven. Sorry,
Which
Steven.
obviously we know you don't like Steven Spielberg a lot.
You could just make a decent film.
Steven.
I love Spielberg. I love Steven.
But he's even like, they have a thing, if your movie makes money, they don't like you as much.
So I don't know if that's directly true, but it does feel like the movies that are like the summer blockbusters, and for the longest time, they only ever did 5 Best Picture nominees. They fanned it out to 10 because I think they wanted to include the Avatar. Well, Avatar is sort of like a Lord of the Rings that sort of like wore both hats. Like
Lord of the Rings is a lot better.
So
just fighting for
that is true.
people.
But I feel like when they wanted to get like I think whenever The Dark Knight came out, like 2008, I think that didn't make the cut, and everyone's like, how can that movie not make the cut? Like it was so well
It's
done.
like a number 1 on list.
So and then I think they eventually fanned it to 10 so they can include like the Top Gun Mavericks or these like big blockbusters.
Okay.
Black Panther got nominated, and that was a big deal. And so yeah, it definitely reads like most people don't watch this because, like you said, you've seen like 4 of these, and you've seen, I don't know how many you saw, Sam, but
5.
the sense is like, and you
much
guys
all
are probably way ahead. Like some folks haven't seen any, and they're just like, why am I watching this? And so this year, I think the interest is going to be because of what happened last year.
Oh, because they could have a
Right.
potential big
And,
thing.
if there's anything you could, like the possibility that Top Gun Maverick, which everyone loved, could win. And there's an outside chance it could pull this big upset and win. People might watch.
I think it could.
I think it could.
Now,
but
do you think that
I don't think it
like,
will.
half of these are big movies that had a lot of money, or do you feel like it's just like a mix of movies that have been out, or what do you feel like it is?
Like who's getting nominated?
Yeah,
for these?
like is half of these big money makers, and then half of them like really good movies, or
Right. Well, I mean, so when I see at a glance, Avatar and Top Gun, I think were the 2 top grossing movies of
yeah,
2000, 22.
You are right
so,
on that.
Yeah. So, and by like, made so
Made
much money.
So much
Yeah.
money.
After that, it's like Everything Everywhere was a low budget movie, but it made probably over $100 million. I know it did, but I don't know what that number is. So it probably made, some of these probably made money. I'm sure the Fabelmans made money. Elvis actually had a really good box office.
Yeah,
So
Mama.
but that's not what they're, that's where it's just, who knows how they figure all this out and what gets nominated and who's to say everything. So if it's like a super small independent film, gets tossed by the wayside, or people just aren't as aware of it or see it. And so, I definitely, if you're like a Steven Spielberg, I think he gets nominated a lot because he's Steven Spielberg,
and pretty good.
And really good.
For some reason, he just keeps getting
This
on there.
Steven guy keeps popping up
he
everywhere.
he was the talk of like, he's gonna win again. It's because the Fabelmans, it's his movie. He wrote the script. It's about his life.
Yeah.
And he was like coming in really hot, and then it's just kind of fell off. So
I cannot see
it
that
would be
winning
a
Best
surprise if he wins best.
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen at best director, but
Oh yeah,
I
think
wouldn't
it
put
could
my
win
money
in
on it.
some areas. I cannot see it winning Best Picture. That's for sure.
it won't. I can.
What's
Wow.
what is your bet on? You said Everything All at Once, but then I see another that's highlighted.
I
on
have
there.
Top Gun. That would be the upset in my opinion.
I've heard epic stories of this legendary Oscars party. Now, I don't know if these legends are true, but I feel like I got to hear about this.
You must be referring to a handful of folks that hang out and watch the Oscars together.
You call
of
it the
famous-
Oscar party.
I do. We so obviously like the Oscars, and then but it's not like a huge deal. But we'll
Bottles of
get to-
champagne?
oh no, okay.
Or more like Oreos and Coke.
Love those Oreos. But we'll get together and make our predictions. And that's always funny. But we're getting together this year to do it. We haven't the last several years, obviously, with that whole COVID thing. But
Spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
but okay, so the year La La Land came out, and I can't even think of it off the top of my head.
That's embarrassing for you.
It's really embarrassing.
I got you.
Sam's our
Yeah,
checker.
that's probably a good prediction. 2016 is my guess.
It's not.
I liked La La Land.
Okay, so here's what happened. So the Oscars, everyone knows.
16.
Okay, that's what I said. Okay, so everyone knows another reason people don't watch it is because it goes so long, and no matter what you do, it's gonna start around 8. It won't be done till midnight at best. It does not matter the changes they make. They always make the wrong decisions. It feels like. Whatever. Last year they actually tried to cut some categories to speed it up, and everyone's like, and they cut like editing or something like. So they handed these out before the show, and like if you won like the editing winner, you're like, what the heck is this? Like this is my moment, So they brought all those back. Anyways, so the year La La Land came out, Damien Chazelle won Best Director, and it was like, okay, the Best Picture is always the last award, and they announced La La Land wins Best Picture, and it was so late, and Heather and I are like, oh, we're leaving. It's so late, like midnight. We'll see you guys later. I get like a call or a text from Dave. He's like, oh, you're not going to believe this. Like, they screwed it up. This is the year they announced La La Land as the winner for Best Picture. The folks from La La Land are on stage. They now look at the ballot, and the real winner was Moonlight. So Jimmy Kimmel at that point was hosting, and he's like sitting out in the audience, is like saying goodbye to it's the last award, and he has to like get back up on stage and figure this thing out. So what happened, I later found out, is so you had Warren Beatty, who's like a legendary actor, but he's very old, and he's probably not really with it. Somehow he had the best actress like card, like who won, and Emma Stone won for La La Land. So he had that card somehow, is what I've heard. And he just said La La Land. And then everyone came up. And so I don't know exactly.
What in the world?
But again, that was like, those are like, even though you're like, that's terrible for people, that makes it fun,
That's
fun to watch.
I'm just picturing him. He opens the card. He's like,
yeah.
oh, it says Moonlight.
Yeah.
La La Land should have won. La La Land.
Yeah, they've done some funny bits. I'm excited Jimmy Kimmel's hosting again. I feel like he's done things like in the middle of the show, he took like some high profile actors and they went across the street to like a normal movie theater and like interrupted it and were like talking to the people. And they brought him back over to the Oscars or something. I don't know.
Ricky Gervais has a absolutely like thing that blew up is when he did his Oscars. There's a huge compilation of him just trashing on people at the Oscars.
Well, I don't know if he's ever I don't think they've ever asked him to host the Oscars.
Oh, or is that
it's the Golden Globes.
The Golden
and
Globe,
he just rips people.
Which is what the Golden Globes is basically the same thing, right?
It's similar. It's the Hollywood Foreign Press, which I'm not even exactly sure if you say what is that. But it's one of the awards that it used to be like looked at a little more like, the Oscars are for sure the high point, and if you're going to mention anything like on your poster of like, it would be like a Golden Globe winner. That would be like the next kind of tier. But so those are sometimes good precursor awards to look at to see like, oh, this one, so maybe this will win. But that's as soon as you think that's going to work, no, it doesn't. So
you've tried that.
So what do you guys want to know? Do you want any insights? Are you going to fill out a ballot?
I'm kind of interested in what are the main categories you care about most?
Well, generally, I feel like always the high profile ones are the acting categories, best picture director, and for me, like the cinematography, the editing, and like the writing. Now, then there's just what generally shapes, like if you're going to win this thing, so we'll do our predictions. It comes down to the 4 categories, and I don't even want to spend much time on them because I don't know anything about them. And that is, but this is a big deal because nobody knows who's going to win these things, and that's best animated short film, best live action short, best documentary feature. You can sometimes get a handle on, but best documentary short. So really, there's the 3 shorts, and I have things kind of marked. I haven't seen any of them. Very few people have. I couldn't even tell you what any of these are about. My notes are based on what I've heard some other people say that I've watched, and always every year it's wrong. Like whatever you think you heard, you're like, it's such a guessing game, and unfortunately that. So when you're making the predictions, you're actually excited about every award. That's like March Madness. When you fill out a bracket, suddenly you're cheering for a team you could care less about because you're like, oh my God, finally they won, way to go, Holy Cross, and you're like, what? So every award it ends up being pretty fun, but certainly where you get the big celebrities and best director, best picture. So, but what do you have? Are you going to watch the Oscars this year?
I would like to.
I think it would be fun if we. Yeah. I think that could be a potentially funny video.
Yeah.
Maybe that
or
could
us
be
live streaming the Oscars. Oh yeah, that might be illegal.
Probably illegal.
Well, you could watch yourself watching them. I mean, record yourself watching.
But we cannot record.
Yeah, I don't think that would probably work.
There is a best short animated film called My Year of Dicks.
Yes.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that.
Sam goes, what is this? I go,
I know very little other than I think it's some girl recounting her relationships with different guys throughout the years.
Oh, so it is what it sounds like. All right.
Yeah.
And it's animated.
I don't think she was a prostitute, but
and it's animated. It doesn't make sense.
So I will say it could win.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm watching the Oscars for them to announce.
But you also have the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse in the same category. So
yeah, I don't see Stu on there.
No, well, that wasn't animated. That wasn't animated.
Where best short live action? Oh, that's weird. They didn't nominate my film.
No.
I guess I should be in best direct. That's weird. I'm not in best director.
Actor's not in there for Mark Ring or Sam Brado. Oh, I guess I'd be in supporting. Oh, I'm not in there either.
I guess That's good. That's good. What is All Quiet on the Western Front? I hate asking this because we are supposed to be the people that know.
Okay. So All Quiet on the Western Front, I just watched it a couple days ago this past weekend. It's based on a famous novel by the same name. It was actually made into a movie way back and just has been recently redone. It's on Netflix, so you can easily watch it. It's going to probably win if you glance down Best International Feature Film because it is in German, so it's following a German soldier in World War I. and it's really well done. I think it could win like best cinematography. It actually the British version of the Oscars, the BAFTA awards, that movie cleaned up. So it could win screenplay. I think it probably will win cinematography. It could be a real upset for Best Picture, but I think it's a lock for Best International. So it's really good. It is.
So it is fully in German then, not like
it's subtitled.
Okay.
Mom
Yeah.
told me about it.
Yeah,
she goes, "Oh my gosh, we
All
watched the most." She goes, "I just hate watching people die in movies."
I know. She also loves it.
And
though.
I'm like, "You watch
I know.
Holocaust movies?"
Yeah, that was a total mom movie because I was.
Does your mom watch murder videos all the time too, or just mine?
That was
That's
really
a lot.
creepy
no,
how
that's
you
a
said
lot
that.
Of, that's Mr. Port, who he had on, goes, "My wife only watches murder mysteries."
All right, I've heard that about
Linda grinds
Yeah.
out.
Eleanor
documentaries.
watches only murder.
That's not me. No, I'm not that person.
because
So
you also aren't a mom. You're a dad.
thanks, son. Okay, but anyways, it's brutal, but it's really good. It's very well done. So I would, and that's on Netflix. Easy to watch right now. So do you recognize the other titles as you look down there?
I watched Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was a little. I don't know how to. What did you think of it?
I'm a big fan, but I love like the awkward like
was
humor
so
of everything.
weird.
Right. The premise gets a little bonkers.
Especially at the end there.
Well, and I mean it's really simple. Like two guys that one of them just doesn't want to be friends really with the
It's
other
so
one because
funny.
he really doesn't want to deal with like his pointless
Yeah.
talking. And Colin Farrell I think is hilarious.
Oh, I liked him in that.
Yeah,
I thought he did
but
really well.
and I don't think we're spoiling anything at this point. But the one guy's like, if you don't stop talking to me, I'm going to start cutting off my fingers. And well, it gets
he
real.
talks to him.
It gets real. Yeah, he does talk to him. So
Yeah, I hated that one scene.
so Banshees could be an upset Best Picture. It won't happen. I think its best shot is Best Original Screenplay by Martin McDonagh, who also directed the movie.
Okay.
And it has a chance maybe for Best Supporting Actress, but not sure.
Are you upset when you watch the Oscars? Like, how did that not win? You don't watch movies that I feel like you're not Sam and I. It's either this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to us, or this is the worst thing that's ever gone on.
You guys should watch. They're called the Oscar Experts. He calls himself the Oscar Expert, and he's with his brother, and he calls him Brother Bro. Their reactions make me think of you guys because they're like, they're just so out of control. But they also know a ton of. I watch them because they know a lot. They watch a lot, and they're funny. But they, if you're looking for like you want to be educated about movies and Oscars, but like in a fun, really fun, goofy way, check them out. So. But yeah, so
Tar.
You're
In your last podcast,
Yeah.
another little plug.
Oh.
In your last podcast, you had Tar versus the
we did a side by side with Tar and the long-haired hair.
and
So
That's a fun.
I tried watching Tar and I just couldn't.
yeah,
and I was so proud of myself. I didn't know. Did I talk to you or Luke about? I said the beginning felt very Kubrick-ish because it was just such long shots.
Wasn't me.
Okay.
I think you might have mentioned that, and this has gotten some comparisons. And Sam's talking about Stanley Kubrick, who's done like Clockwork
Oh, they
Orange,
know.
The Shining. Yeah, the audience
No,
isn't too.
Our listeners.
I don't know. Like, I feel like you say Spielberg, people know. If you say Stanley Kubrick,
Yeah,
like,
that's
what's the
true.
chance if I go up to Mom and say, "Have you heard of Stanley Kubrick?"
That's a whole different category.
That's true.
Moms are they're taking care of people.
You know
They're
MJ?
not-
Who? Michael Jackson? No, Michael
she would
Jordan.
know- she knows Michael
MJ.
Jordan.
Well,
she knows
at least you
Michael
said Michael Jackson,
Jordan. Yeah.
another famous person.
I don't feel like I feel like eventually I want to watch all of these, but it is there's so many movies.
Yeah.
Do you feel like because you teach film, do you feel like, and you never judge, I'm saying I feel like it clearly a lot. I'm going to go up one more time.
Hey, do you feel like it?
I do. I feel like you don't judge people on the movies they've seen, or at least not me or Sam.